follow him at Twitter, twitter.com. Everybody give it up for Isaac Hirsh.
Thanks. Give it up for all the other oddly shaped white men you've seen tonight. Let me tell you something about myself right off the bat that you can already see. I'm very thin. I'm a very thin person. I am 6'1" and I weigh 115 pounds. I know, I'm as horrified as you are. People think it's better to be as thin as I am than it is to be fat, but I'll tell you one thing fat people have over people who are as thin as me. Fat people can pretend that they used to play sports. A fat guy can be like, yeah, I played football in high school, got scouted by a couple colleges. That was a long time ago, though. I can't say, I was a high school basketball star. People will go, yeah, you must have been really good before that famine hit your village. Well, they only fed us if we won, so. As I said, my name is Isaac Hirsh, and I'm not Jewish, and for those of you going, so what? My name is the most Jewish name you could have. It's like if I got up here and said, my name is Menorah Israel. It's a very Jewish name, but there are some benefits to being Jewish, right? One of them is that people think I celebrate the holidays, which I do not, but my boss will be like, you're probably not coming in tomorrow, it's Rosh Hashanah, and I'll be like, why, yes! I will be gone for Rosh Hashanah. I'll either be celebrating or being sad, depending on what it is we do on that day. Now it's kind of the point where I'll be like, I can't come in tomorrow, it's Havdalah Gala. The Jewish festival of sleep. Video games, it's actually a 3-day holiday, which I think is a little long, but I am Orthodox. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's a Sabbath, which means that when I wear this tiny hat, I can't do any work. Let me tell you guys about my favorite product right now. My favorite product is men's shampoo, because some shampoo is so self-conscious about being shampoo that it has to constantly insist that it's for men, as if only women wash their hair. And the commercials are like way over the top. They're like, are you a man? Are you a real man's man? Guess what? Men wash their hair too. This shampoo isn't for girls, it's for men. Real men who do manly things like working hard all day, driving a truck, carrying around buckets of dirt, around in the dirt, eating dirt, rubbing their naked bodies with dirt, and playing football. If you do those manly things, this shampoo may be for you. Oh yeah, and women love it, and it will help you fuck them better. So get this manly man shampoo for men from Garnier Fructis. I gotta buy it, I love eating dirt. Let me tell you something about myself that you would not guess looking at me. I love funk music. Funk music is one of my favorite genres of music, which is weird because it looks like my favorite genre of music is like mathematics. One thing I love about funk music is that in funk music, the lyrics don't matter at all. You can say whatever you want and it's cool. Like one of my favorite funk songs is called Tell Me That I'm Dreaming. And there's a line in Tell Me That I'm Dreaming that goes, a man likes milk, now he owns 1 million cows. And then a deep voice comes in and goes, can you imagine all that milk? What great songwriting that is. Other songs are about being in love or having your heart broken. And funk songs just want you to imagine a lot of milk. Like the writer of that song sat down and was like, man, what's the most milk I can think of? The guy popped his head and was like, 1 million milk, and that was how the song Here's something else you wouldn't guess looking at me. In high school, I was both prom king and homecoming king, and that shouldn't have happened. It seems like a mistake. Like, on some level, I get that people were voting for me ironically, but what a dumb thing to ironically do. They didn't dump pig's blood on my head. They put a crown on me, and I had a very nice time. Like, I'm sure some girls were dancing with me ironically, but it wasn't as if I had an ironic boner. So who was the real winner? So I told you 2 things you wouldn't guess looking at me. Here's something you would guess looking at me, you guys. I saw a pediatrician until I was 21 years old. I'm not lying to you. You look at this face. It's true. I saw the same pediatrician my whole life. His name was Dr. Brown, and ever since I turned 14, Dr. Brown would ask me the same question during checkups. He'd be like, "Are you sexually active?" And obviously each time I'd answer no, until the last time I saw him when I was like, "Yeah! You did it, Dr. Brown!" Finally got some. It was pretty good. I can see why people like sex so much. It doesn't even take long. And Dr. Brown said to me, "Congratulations, you're finally a man now, which means you really need to stop seeing me." And he gave me a lollipop. I've been through 2 breakups in my life, you guys. One of them was bad and one of them was necessary. The bad one happened more recently. I work at Starbucks. And on my half-hour lunch break, my girlfriend of 2 years broke up with me via phone call, and that was weird, but what was even harder was going back to work for another 3 hours and just keep playing it cool, you know, just trying to keep it together. Like, I was like, "Sir, I recommend you try our new tiramisu latte. It's delicious. It tastes exactly like tiramisu. I'd also recommend never loving anything." Because apparently it's meaningless and it will leave you feeling empty inside. To be clear, I'm talking about love and not our tiramisu latte, which is great. It'll leave you feeling warm inside. It has a nice, smooth finish, unlike my relationship, which had an abrupt and unexpected finish. That was the bad one. The necessary one happened when I dated this girl and we got in arguments all the time. And like one night she was like, "Isaac, you make me so mad. I keep a flowchart on my computer of all the little things you do that annoy me." I was like, "Seriously? How could you say that? A flowchart? A flowchart implies they're sequential. You're thinking of a list." So that went on the flowchart. Recently, like 2 years ago, I auditioned for Jeopardy. I don't know if you guys have seen Jeopardy recently, but I was not on it. At no point have I been on Jeopardy. The way the audition process works is you take an online test, and then you take a written test, and they do a little interview with you. And I know I passed both of the tests, so I'm slowly coming to grips with the fact that somehow I am too boring for Jeopardy. Being exciting is not a requirement for being on Jeopardy, you guys. Have you seen the interviews Alex does with them? They're always the same. They're always like, "Well, Alex, one time my basement flooded with water, and we had to pump it out." Okay, you're in command of the board. Too boring for Jeopardy, guys. It's like being too white for brunch. It's like walking into a brunch place and like, "Whoa, you gotta tone that down. Your fanny pack is a fanny pack. Get out of here. You're making the rest of us look diverse. Go." I read recently that 1 out of 6 people who climb Mount Everest end up dying. 1 out of 6, those are terrible odds. It can't be worth it to climb Mount Everest. Like, what's the best case scenario? You climb Mount Everest and you get to tell people that you climb Mount Everest. And did you guys know you can do that without climbing Mount Everest? It's easy. Watch. I climbed Mount Everest once. It was cold. One of my 6 friends died. I mentioned earlier that I'm very thin. I neglected to mention that there are some parts of being very thin that I like. I was in DC after a show recently, and a homeless man approached me and he goes, "Excuse me, can I get a couple dollars so I can buy myself some dinner?" And I go, "Sure," and I turn towards him and he goes, "Never mind." I go, "Really, it's no problem." He goes, "Nah, man, you need it more than I do. You go buy yourself some dinner." And I love that, because that homeless guy went hungry that night just to burn me. That's a homeless man with an innate understanding of comedy, you guys. He's probably thinking, "Man, I'm fucking starving, but I sure own that skinny kid." Worth it. I was on the subway and I saw an ad that said, You'd use an app to find a date, but not an app to find a sandwich? Explain." First of all, I don't have to explain myself to you. You're an ad on a train. I'm a grown man. The only people I have to explain myself to are my parents, because I live with them. Secondly, it's very simple. I can eat any sandwich I want. I can point at a sandwich and go, "I'll have that sandwich," and then I get to eat that sandwich. I've never, it's not like there's a limited amount of sandwiches that are willing to be eaten by me and I have to use the internet to find them. Ruben, and it's like, Ruben knows you live with your parents, it's gonna pass. Doesn't want to be eaten by you. I've also never ordered a sandwich that's like, surprise, that sandwich has kids. Now you gotta eat the kids. That was weird. I don't know, what do I want to talk about now? Well, you know, I used to work for the government. I worked for the Department of Health and Human Services, and my job was to answer letters from prisoners. And let me tell you, prisoners write the best letters. The very first letter I ever opened on the job said, "Dear government, I know you put a microchip in my brain or controlling my every thought and action. You better take it out, or I'm going to go to the media about this." And I wrote back, "Couldn't we just make you not do that?" Frankly, I'm surprised we even let you write that letter. Your microchip must not be working. Don't worry though, we'll send a team out to replace it while you're asleep. Alright, I'm going to leave you guys with this. I took a trip to Boston recently, because people around here weren't calling me a cocksucker enough. I had this plan where I was going to take this overnight train to Boston, sleep on the train, I'd be ready to go when I got there. Didn't sleep on the train at all, so I was super tired when I got to Boston. I just started wandering around the city looking for a place to nap, and I found it in Harvard University, one of the best schools in the world, also an excellent place to sleep because their student lounge was super fancy. I was like, I'm set, and I was like, wait a minute, they're not going to believe I'm a Harvard student unless I really walk the walk, right? So I go in there, I go, hello! My name is Martin Hamilton Cup III. My father invented the cup. I'm just here to get a little shut-eye before my squash match against Yale tonight. Hope we beat those Yaleys, And then a guy was like, hey, my dad invented the cup. Get him! I think the best part of that joke is that it implies that people would not believe I was a Harvard student if I went there. They'd be like, hold on, you're way too cool to go here, buddy. Get into the system. That's a weird way to close a set, right? Well, thanks, everybody.